Next up for Aston Villa, the league leaders. They'll take on Arsenal, who took on Brighton, of course, a 2-1 victory for them, which just they made such hard work of, Shaka.
Yeah.
Like, Brighton didn't have a shot at all in the first half. It should have been dead and buried. But yet again, Arsenal fans are made to sweat right to the final whistle. Is there going to be an occasion where it's going to bite them in the bum?
That's kind of what I actually predicted for this one. That you've seen this from Arsenal over recent weeks, where they've gotten over the line, at times have kind of limped. I spoke about the injury time winner against Wolves. You saw it in the Cup against Crystal Palace. And I just wonder if that would be the case here. Arsenal just have not been blowing teams out of the water as they should. And listen, on today, Arteta had to make adjustments. He stuck Declan Rice out at right back. But still, you come away from the game, get 3 points, but almost you feel as though you're left with just as many questions as answers. What's Gyökeres? What's his role in this team? How is he making this team any better? And similarly, I'm not sure. And while great, you come away from this with 3 points, you're still top of the table. Very good response given what happened earlier in the day. You rely on an own goal. Great. And then the David Raya save. I mean, while you can just say, yeah, that's why he's there, that's why he was signed, blah, 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 that was simply outstanding. And that really is the difference between having a totally different conversation about Arsenal and maybe Arsenal being in a totally different psychological position. Had they drawn, they would have been second after being top for so long. And I just wonder, as you look at these games, as the Champions League restarts and Arteta inevitably has to rotate, with this inability to run up 3 or 4 goals and give yourself a comfortable lead over anybody in the Premier League, if that will come back to haunt you.
Is there not a different side to it to say, look, this is Arsenal's blip? They're not playing very well. They're having to rely on things like own goals, yet they're still getting results. So once they get through this, then they're going to be cruising.
It's hard to call this a blip. I think they're just struggling in terms of the final third. Yes, Shaka's talking about Ray. That you need a goalkeeper like Ray to win the league. To come out and make a save like that when he's basically had not a lot to do the whole game, and then all of a sudden he pulls that out of the hat. I mean, that's 2 points. That's 2 points. But that's how you end up winning the league, because you've got talent in your team. And today, that talent that mattered was your goalkeeper. But there's no question that their biggest problem is up front. And I've been kind of hesitant to get on the back of Gyökeres. But today, when I was watching him, I'm thinking, boy, I'm starting to kind of go the other way, because they thought they were signing a goal-scoring centre-forward, a guy who would finish games off, a guy who would score 2 and 3 to kill the game off and do it from nothing, but he's actually not contributing. And unfortunately for Arsenal, right now, it seems like nobody else is really looking that dangerous in the final third, including Shaka. So I really don't want to call it a blip. I just think they have to figure out how they create and score more goals when they're on top. Because there's no question. I mean, they were the better side. But you've got to finish games off, because unless your goalie can turn around and do what Raya did, then that's why you wouldn't win the league.
Frank, Arsenal did win the game. They are top of the league. Are the boys being too harsh?
No, I agree with the guys, and we were talking about Chelsea being good for an hour. That was the same case and the same scenario from the Gunners, outstanding for an hour, and suddenly something gets wrong. And the thing we got wrong is because the coach of Brighton changed the tactic, and they started to play at 4 at the back, and it was more stabilized, more organized, and suddenly Brighton were better than Arsenal. The first in the Premier League. And again, if you don't have Raya and that fantastic save, it's a draw. They weren't performing against Wolves. They struggled before against Crystal Palace. They're not at the best of the best. So I'm not going to talk about the luck again, because people are going to say, oh, yeah, it's all about luck. But everything go their ways. But be careful, because at some point you can be punished if you don't finish it. But as the guy said, yes, the Final Four, is not there. He's not performing. He's not doing great. So is it Gyökeres? Is it others? Because Shaka also is not. Sometimes I remember one action when he has the ball and he has to give right to the right to Odegaard and decided to shoot, put like 3 yards above the crossbar. And I say, why he doesn't give the ball to his friend? It was easy. And there are some stuff who tells me that it's not perfect. Months ago, I would have said Arsenal going to win the Premier League easily. Now, it's not given, for sure.